Central help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman's historical vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama.
In answer to his question about the subjects,
there are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
oh, what a compliment. For that, I thank you.
What is happening now? They are hopeless and hungry.
Now it's time for us to stand up for God or we fall to nothing.
It's time now for Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Listening to the general public, what the public is saying.
Good afternoon and welcome to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Banks this afternoon, this Tuesday, June 27th, and I'm going to remember our phone numbers to give you throughout the show. I only did that a couple times yesterday, so off the bat, give us a call at 1-800-534-8255, 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp us at 925-3261. This afternoon on Talk Today, we're first going to be welcoming from Health City, Jennifer Weber, Oncology Operations Manager, and Michaela Adams, Certified Facilitator of Freedom from Smoking Program. Then at 1 o'clock, we'll be having one of the directors of KMAS join us, Brent McLean. 1:30 onwards, we will be discussing World Sickle Cell Day with some other doctors from HSA. And we're going to throw it to a quick disclaimer, quick commercial break, and then we will start our discussion with our reps from Health City.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Live Communication.
Let your voice be heard.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Welcome back. I'm Kathy Miller. I'm filling in for Sterling Dwayne Banks on Talk Today this afternoon. In our first segment of the program, we are welcoming from Health City, Miss Jennifer Weber, Oncology Operations Manager, and Michaela Adams, Certified Facilitator of Freedom from Smoking Program. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about this afternoon, right, ladies?
That's
Freedom
right.
from Smoking. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for having us on. This is always fun.
No problem at all. It's always good to have you on. It's always good to get this information out as well, right? And smoking is a big thing, especially in our islands. And I kind of want to say I feel like when I was little, everybody was smoking, and I'm seeing less and less people. So hopefully one day we can eliminate it. I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, just to give a little bit of an overview, so in my role at Health City, I'm all things cancer, right? Mm-hmm. So now Health City is able to provide every way of treating cancer. We can do radiation, we can do radiation oncology, medical oncology, and we can also do surgical oncology. That's great because we have everything that everybody in Cayman would need. But we're not necessarily looking for more customers. customers, if you know what I mean. So some people will end up sadly getting cancer and will need those services. But before that, of course, we want to promote early detection. We want people to do their cancer screenings so that if cancer is present, we want to catch it as early as possible so people can get it treated and go on with their life. But then if you back up one step further, we want to find ways that we can prevent cancer.
Yes.
And smoking or using tobacco products is one of the ways that really, sadly, contributes to almost every kind of cancer. And so if we can help people in our community reduce smoking, stop smoking, not only will that help the person themselves, the smoker, but all the people around them, their children, the people who are in the car, their spouse, the people who are around. And the fewer people we have smoking, the fewer people we will eventually have with cancer, and that's good for all of us.
Yes, I would have to agree. So, and hopefully we can get to that stage.
Yeah, and so a big problem right now is not only the traditional tobacco products that you think of, like lighting cigarettes, but it's vaping as well.
Yes.
And as soon as Health City announced that we were going to do this smoking cessation program, we came and we started promoting it and said, oh, we need smokers. And my phone started going bing, 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 bing from parents and schools. Everybody's saying, what about vaping? Everybody's vaping. How do we stop vaping? Is that dangerous? Does that really help people stop smoking? And it was really quite illuminating for me. And I think Michaela as well, the two of us worked together for the first Freedom from Smoking program that we put on. And it was quite surprising that when people showed up, many of the people who were there kind of considered vaping as indoor smoking and smoking cigarettes as outdoor smoking, which is something that I had never considered before. So there are a lot of people who are regular people who are working in, good jobs who sit at their desk all day long and vape.
Yes, and it disguises smell. So, who knows what we are smoking.
And so what's
really?
So what's happening? They're actually getting more and more nicotine, so they're becoming more and more addicted. But because a lot of people don't know so much about vaping these days, people have misinformation about vaping, that it's healthy or that it's good for you or it's better for you, or it helps you reduce the number of cigarettes that you're going to be smoking. They kind of start with that, and because a lot of times it tastes good or it smells good, people are like, oh, this must be good.
Right.
And before you know it, they're serious vapors.
Am I under the wrong assumption then that vaping is worse for you? I thought it was worse for you than smoking a regular cigarette or cigar.
Well, I have to give the disclaimer that I am not a nurse or a doctor. So I am regular old Jennifer, who is a facilitator, just like Michaela. We both did the American Lung Association Freedom from Smoking program online, and we both did all the hours and all the requisite trainings in order to become facilitators. So we know the information, but I will also share with you that I also listened to a pulmonologist who is a lung doctor specialist who did a presentation at one of our schools, one that they were still in session at Cayman Prep. And within 10 minutes, she had a room full of I guess they were 16-year-olds with their jaws on the floor as she talked to them about vaping. They were all shocked to find out that it is not healthy. It is not good for you. And the amount of nicotine in vape or vape pens or any kind of e-cigarette is actually significantly higher than it is in cigarettes. And some of the children naively said, well, if it's really bad for us, why would they sell it? Sadly, right? Naive. That child who asked that question was quite stunned and will probably grow up to be quite a good litigator, will be a lawyer for sure, and will probably sue all of these companies who make these things. But they also said, well, it doesn't say it's bad for you on the packaging. Well, it's not regulated. So it may say, oh, it's fruit flavors and water and vapor and rainbows and unicorns and glitter. I don't know. But that doesn't mean that that's everything in there. And the doctor did say that every independent test that she read said that those vape pens and those cartridges, e-cigarettes, contained all kinds of bad things, including dangerous metals like lead and mercury.
Oh, wow. We do not want that in our bodies. No.
And at that same presentation, we did a little instant survey of the students who were there and asked them if they knew anybody who vaped, and the kids all raised their hand. And I started saying, okay, know anybody who regularly vapes at 14 or 12 or 11? Those kids who live right here in this community we all call home knew children who were as young as 8 years old who were regularly vaping.
Wow, that's so sad. What are you doing at 8 years old that you need to vape?
So as parents, as teachers, as aunties and uncles and coworkers, we need to make sure that we all are getting the right information out. They are not safe. They are not better alternatives. They are not things that are going to help anyone stop smoking. In fact, the reverse is true. If you are not somebody who smokes tobacco products like cigarettes, and you start vaping, you're something like 10 times more likely to begin smoking.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I hope all the would-be vapors really heard that. That's a pretty big statistic. 10 times more likely to become a smoker if you decide to vape and you never were a smoker before.
Yeah, and when we did this class for people, there were a couple of them who really were surprised to find out, I thought this was better. I mean, I know cigarettes are bad, obviously, but I thought vaping at least wasn't as bad. But then when they found out, it's hard to give to make it an absolute good versus bad, but it's addictive versus more addictive,
right?
Which has more of the nicotine, and vape hands down had much, much more nicotine.
So if I go back to my original question on is vaping considered worse, because I did assume that it is worse. I think it might be safe to say, none of us are medical doctors in here, but I think it is safe to say that it's at least as worse, if not likely, probably worse than smoking. Because of some of the data you just gave, it's like I can figure that out in my head.
They're both bad. They're bad in different ways, but bad.
Yes, right.
Period. So it certainly is a good idea if people are smoking tobacco products to stop, and if they are vaping to stop. And speaking of stopping, most people who want to stop, they feel like they can easily stop, but then the average person, it takes them 8 to 11 times to actually quit.
Wow. So give yourself a little bit of grace.
Absolutely.
I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves when we want to quit something, and we think it has to be cold turkey and right away. I did this with alcohol, but somehow I managed to do it cold turkey, and nobody asked me how. It was no problem for me to quit, and people constantly ask me, how did they confess? They want to stop. How do you do this? How did you stop? And the only thing I can say is just give yourself grace.
Yeah.
If you cold turkey is likely not going to work. Give yourself some time to adjust. If you have a drink, it's okay. Forgive yourself in that sense. Don't beat yourself up about it. And I think so often in our minds we're beating ourselves up about the poor choices that we are making, and instead of, okay, I made that decision, forgive myself, I've learned, let's move on, and how can I make a better choice going forward? Now with this program, Freedom from Smoking, please tell us what this is all about, because this is really what we're definitely here to talk about and promote.
Yeah, I mean, it can be so demotivating, like you say, if you've tried something and you've tried it twice or 3 times and each time it hasn't worked. So at that point, you might want to give up. And I think what we're trying to do here, and kudos to Jennifer for introducing something that wasn't here in Cayman. There weren't these free resources, people, materials, and support networks to really help people. So our main aim is to bring people together so that we can share experiences, share our lessons learned of each time we've tried to quit, and then look at, actually go deep dive into that. What happened? What was my trigger? Why did I slip up? And have acceptance and forgiveness for yourself, and really, refocus on what do I want to do moving forward.
Yes.
And I think when you do that in a sharing, supportive environment with a little bit of positivity and hope in there, you can really learn from each of those slips. But
Absolutely.
and when people keep coming back to the group week after week, even if they've made some slips and they can talk about them honestly, that's where growth comes. And that's where people really start to feel, actually, this is doable. I just wasn't doing it the right way before.
Michaela just gave me goosebumps.
That was nicely said, Michaela.
It's so true.
We have to go to a commercial break right now, ladies. But when we come back from the break, we're going to go into the information about Freedoms from Smoking, what the program is about, how people can access it, and all the other info that we have to give people. So right after this commercial break, we will come back with Health City Cayman Islands.
They say variety is the spice of life, and that's why at Subway, we're introducing the new boneless hot sub.
Say what?
The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
Prevention is key. Is your heart at risk? During the month of June, Baptist Health International is offering special pricing for cardiac CT scan for calcium scoring for just 99 CI to patients at high risk for heart disease, the leading cause of deaths worldwide. You are a candidate if you are 40 to 65 years old and have any of the following risk factors: obesity, current or recent smoker, family history of heart disease, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, or diabetes. To request an appointment or for more information, call 749-3304 or visit baptisthealth.ky.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline. Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old girl this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks this afternoon. And in studio from Health City, Cayman Islands, we have Jennifer Weber and Michaela Adams. We are speaking about freedom from smoking. So I want to know if anybody out there is a smoker, you yourself are thinking about quitting smoking, want to quit smoking, you have tried, maybe you weren't successful in the quitting process and you want to try again. Please listen to today's show because these ladies have a lot of information. If you have a question, give us a call. 1-800-534-8255, 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp us at 925-3261. Of course, I left the WhatsApp phone in the other studio, but I will collect it shortly. So right before the break, I said that we were going to go into what freedom from smoking is. So if you could tell us about that program. And Jennifer, how did you, because you brought this program in, so how did you even first hear about it? How did you hear about it and what is this program?
Okay, so in Cayman, there probably 8 or 10 years ago, when I was working at the Cayman Islands Cancer Society, we wanted to do something to help the community stop smoking. So we brought in an expert on the subject, and we did a sort of train the trainers program all throughout the community. And that program was called Quit or something like that. Start to Quit or something. Mm-hmm. I don't really remember, but we went everywhere. We went to Northward, to the prison. We went to the schools. We went to the community leaders. We went to ministers and everybody who would listen. And we trained a lot of trainers. But as you well know, that COVID thing happened and lots of things changed. And eventually the number of people who were doing those classes and providing those programs free to the community started to dwindle. So now I know that HSA provides a free class, but to the best of my knowledge, they do it 2 times a year and students must come to HSA. So the place that we decided that we would start to fill in and meet the community need is that we would offer more classes and we would do them in the district. So people don't have to come just to HSA. And I know that they can't possibly accommodate everybody by doing 2 classes a year. Right. So there's plenty more need out there. And so we did our first class in Georgetown. We did it at in the evening after work at Cricket Square. Anybody who's been to Cricket Square knows that there are lots of people who work there. And there's a health club there called, or wellness facility, I think they call themselves, called The Club.
Yes.
And so the manager there said, yeah, you could do your class here. So we did it there, and it made it really easy for people to come right after work and go right into this program. So next we want to do a class in West Bay because every time we talk about it, I get emails. And if people are interested in finding out more, all they have to do is send an email. The email actually comes to me. I'm Jennifer. But you send an email to stopsmoking@healthcity.ky. I'll say it again. Stop smoking. Put together the no dots or spaces or anything in dashes in between. Stop smoking at healthcity.ky. So if you send an email and say, hey, I want to stop smoking, I live in East End, or I want to stop smoking, I live in Bodentown, or I live in West Bay, that helps us know where we're going to have a group of people to do a class with. So wherever we get a cluster of people who want to quit smoking, we can make a class. So we have several facilitators. There's me, there's Michaela. I have a doctor at Health City who is also a Spanish speaker. So we could do a Spanish speaking class if there's a group of people who want to do that. And every time we talk about it, we end up almost inadvertently recruiting more people who want to do it. So
the next time facilitators?
Yes.
Okay.
It's interesting. So we contacted a church in West Bay. It's the West Bay Church of Christ. The pastor there is Pastor Naraya LeBlanc. And when I talked to him and said, hey, could we use your space? It's a free class. We honestly don't want to, we want to make it so accessible to everybody. We want it to be in a community center or a church space so that everybody knows it's a place that's safe. It's a place that has a parking lot.
Yes.
And it's not a restaurant kind of environment. It's a free class. It's free to attend, and it's supported by the community and provided by Health City. We provide all the materials, right? And so as soon as I talked to him, he said, yeah, you could use my church, and I think I'd like to become a facilitator. And so now he's getting trained because he feels like it would be helpful for his congregation and for the community. And anybody who wants to get trained can. And then, I would love it if they heard about it through us, if they would do one free community class every year. If people want to charge for it because they've become facilitators and they want to do private lessons in people's classes or in people's homes, that's fine. But we brought this on because it seemed like a really great program, and it is the most successful program in the world. It's helped 40 million people worldwide quit smoking. It's been around for a long time. And what I like about it is that it's super positive and supportive. So this class is not a class that's going to convince somebody that smoking is bad and they should quit. So for all those spouses out there who are listening and feeling like, oh, I got to sick Miss Jen on my spouse to get them to quit smoking, I'm sorry, I'm not that powerful. It's not going to work. But if you know somebody who...
Why do you say that?
Because you can't convince somebody. It's like trying to convince somebody to go on a diet or trying to convince somebody that they should want to, I don't know, get a decent amount of sleep or drink more water. We have to want to do, or stop drinking alcohol. We have to want to do these things for ourselves because we have some either external or internal kind of motivation. And if we want to do it, then we will have the resolve to do it.
Right.
If we just have the tools and the techniques and the support to be able to do it, right? But if someone feels like they're being forced to do something that they really don't want to do, and it's something that's hard, of course, it's not going to go well.
Right. So it has to be intrinsic.
Yes.
You yourself have to want this change.
Right. And so, but yes, it has to intrinsically come from you. You have to want to do it. But I do think that I've learned so much from talking with people that there are external motivators that people use to motivate themselves to want to do it. I'll give you an example. We had a woman who she had already had breast cancer. Now, smoking does contribute to not only lung cancer, every kind of cancer. Yeah. She was young. She had breast cancer. She continued to smoke cigarettes throughout her entire treatment and never even felt like, I'm not giving it up. I already have the cancer. All right, whatever. Geez. Interestingly, what motivated her is she changed jobs, and she, when she was smoking for years and years, she was someone who was traveling a lot, so she was able to get her cigarettes duty-free.
Oh, okay.
When she changed jobs, she couldn't get them duty-free, and that's when she realized how much they cost, and it was the money that motivated her.
Wow.
She went...
Not her own health.
Isn't that interesting? And no judgment, but that everybody has to find what the motivation is for them.
Right.
So when she realized, I thought I was paying $2 for that. And $2 is, it's not free, but it's not that much money. But it went from $2 to $10 a pack for her. And she realized, wait a minute, I smoke a pack a day. That's how much per year? I could take a really great vacation. I'd rather take a vacation, or I'd rather just have the money. So I'm going to quit smoking. And she did. Other people feel, in terms of other external motivators, other people feel like, you know what? My kids are of school age now, and I don't want them to see me smoking. I feel like it's a bad example. When it was just me, I felt like, all right, I can do this when the kids aren't looking or whatever.
Right.
But now they're old enough, and I don't want them to smoke. So I'm motivated because I want to be a better example to my children. That's an external thing.
A lot of parents think that they're not influencing their child through certain actions, behaviors such as smoking. I think that's a big misconception. So I know that a lot of us, especially when we're very, very young, we want to mimic our parents. We want to copy what they're doing. Those are our, the heroes, right? Those are the people that we just look up to adoringly in our lives. So whatever they do, we seem to think it's okay, and I can do the same thing.
Right.
And if there's kind of no discipline, or if my parent is telling me, no, you can't do that, but they're over here doing that, I'm not going to listen to the no. I'm going to watch what your actions are, right?
Right.
So it's...
And the other thing about this program that, it's not only positive and it starts from a really supportive place, but I think the skills that you learn are applicable universally to anything. So personally, I felt, I need to lose weight. I can eat, I know I need to eat less, but I don't. I know I need to exercise more, but I don't. Nobody's perfect. And so by going through this class, even as a facilitator, I started sort of digging a little deeper myself and going, you know what, I need to find what motivates me. And I can't just be going, everyone else, you should really focus on this. It's me too. And so as we go through this, there were other things that came up during the class too, not just smoking, not just alcohol, not just eating, exercising. There's other things that once you learn this technique, you can go, you know what, this is really going to help me help myself do things that I know are good for me, that I just haven't found the motivation to execute so far.
So I think that brings me into a next question here is, how is the Freedom from Smoking program different from other kind of clinical smoking cessation programs?
I think it's really practical. And there, like you said, there's so many different tools in there, and different tools work for different people. So it's a very personal, practical program. There's no lecturing. We're not here to lecture. We're not here to scare tactics and all the rest of it. We're really there to share, to facilitate. So in terms of the program setup, because we haven't really talked about that, but it's over a period of 7 weeks. There's 8 sessions over the 7-week period. The reason there's an extra session is during week 3. That's when we suggest and people, we ask them to commit for themselves that they will quit in week 3. So it's not like, you turn up week 1 and now you can't smoke. So we help people, we lead people into that, and then we have 2 sessions in the quit week to really support people in their first days of quitting smoking. We haven't decided yet for future programs whether they're going to be run in the evenings or mornings, but we suggest if everybody comes along to the information session, which will be on July the 11th at the West Bay Church of Christ, which is on 24 Batabano Road, we can get a feel from talking to people what their rhythms are. I was surprised in the last session we ran that a lot of people who smoke suffer from insomnia. They don't sleep. And then if they're up at 4, 5 o'clock in the morning and they're alone and their partners are still asleep, what do? They smoke.
They have a cigarette.
They sit and have a cigarette and a cup of coffee. So,
hopefully not in bed.
So, it was kind of thinking, well, why would we not run an early morning session? Maybe that helps them use one of these techniques, which is alter or find alternatives or avoid certain things that put you in that situation when you're smoking. So maybe we can help change up a routine. I don't know. Lots of options there.
I like that. And I like the fact that you mentioned there's so many different tools to support. And I know we talked heavily, Jennifer, about the motivation, right? Whether it's external or internal, but motivation doesn't always last. And when you don't have motivation, unfortunately, I've had to learn, you have to have discipline, right? And that's where, and that's where that support comes in. So I might not feel like it. I might not want to do this. I don't want to go into my little tool book, but I know that there's a group, whether it becomes a chat on my phone, I can reach out to you, Michaela, as a facilitator, whatever it might be, and there's that different kind of support there. And that might give me the drive I need. It worked for me in fitness for a little bit when I had a coach, so I know that in that sense of...
It helped our last
in
group.
This, it'll
they
help.
Had a WhatsApp group. They were in touch without us as the facilitators. We purposely stayed out of their WhatsApp group so that they could talk to themselves about the program and about how things were going. And I definitely think that contributed to their commitment, to their wanting to come back every week, even if they felt they had failed. Like I said, there's no failure. It's a journey. And I think so often we put ourselves in this cycle of failure, and that's when you just give up.
Right.
But learning to acknowledge those slip-ups, learning from them and moving forward. This is a 7-week program, but actually beyond that, I have no doubt that our guys from the last session, they're still WhatsApping, they're still meeting
I
up.
hope so.
They are.
They've made them.
It goes to their success numbers. Let's get into that. We got to go to the next commercial break, and then we're going to go into the final segment of our discussion today. Okay. How can you make a classic BLT sandwich even better? Well, by adding tuna. The land meets the sea in Subway's new sandwich, the Tuna BLT, available for a limited time. The Tuna BLT is exploding with flavor. Imagine crispy, juicy bacon strips on top of tuna, fresh lettuce, and slices of tomato, topped with your favorite sauce and choice of freshly baked bread. Enjoy the best of both worlds with the Tuna BLT from Subway. Subway, eat fresh. Are you tired of waiting in long lines at the pharmacy just to fill a prescription?
If what, child, let me tell you.
Well, now you can save time and money with ValueMed's online prescription service. Visit ValueMed's new website, valrx.com, and click the Refill Subscriptions button. Fill in your information and choose your preferred pickup location. Or email your prescription refills for ValueMed Walkers Road at rx-wr@valrx.com, and for ValueMed in Boddentown, email rx-bt at valrx.com. Say goodbye to the hassle of waiting in lines and hello to the convenience of online prescriptions with ValueMed Pharmacy. Visit valrx.com to place your orders today.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Caymanbrack and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Banks. And in this segment of Talk Today from Health City Cayman Islands, we have Jennifer Weber, Oncology Operations Manager, and Michaela Adams, Certified Facilitator of the Freedom for Smoking Program. Remember, you can give us a call at 1-800-534-8255, 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp me. I do have the phone right beside me now. The number is 925-3261. All right, ladies, welcome back.
Thank you.
And right before the break, I just mentioned about having to have that discipline along with that motivation and the freedom from smoking. It kind of gives you that support group where if you feel unmotivated, at least you can turn to somebody and that'll kind of help keep you on track, if you need that, right, if you want that. Can you tell us a little bit more about the course? What can people expect when they enroll in this?
So it's typically just once a week for 7 weeks in a row. So it might be every Tuesday night. It might be every Wednesday night. Like Michaela said, if the group says, I really would prefer to do this in the morning, we could do a morning class. But essentially you meet once a week, except for the critical time in the middle of this program, at week 3, everybody quits together. And so then instead of waiting for a whole week before you meet again, you meet 48 hours later. so
Why
that
48?
everybody gets that extra support. Because it seems like most people can sort of be like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm doing this, okay, I'm not doing this, okay, I'm not going to smoke. And they can maybe get through for 24 hours. But it's that second day where people are like, well, no one's going to, they start justifying, no one's going to know if I don't do this, but I want to do this. I don't know if I can have it. Maybe I'm weak. I don't know if I can do it. And so if they know they're going to meet up again with that same group, face to face, and they can be like, oh my gosh, how are you doing? I'm doing so hard. This is so hard. This is so much harder. They can find that support again. And so it's a chance for everybody to come back together and go, okay, where are the areas that you're finding difficult for you? Like somebody might say, oh, you know what? I didn't realize how connected smoking was with driving my car to work. And so, I realize now, that I have to do things differently. I'm now driving with a friend to work instead. And so, or I'm making sure that I keep my cigarettes in the trunk of the car. So I cannot grab my cigarettes on the way to work, or I drive a different way, or I started taking my kids to school because I know I'm not going to smoke if the kids are in the car with me. Right. And somebody else went, oh, you know what? I always smoke when I have a cocktail at night, my after 5. It's, happy hour. And if I have that highball glass in my right hand, I sure want that cigarette in my left hand. So now instead, I take a walk. And because I'm doing something different, I don't miss it as much. And so like Michaela said, these are all things that we talk about because we have these workbooks that we have for participants. There's a guide to help you quit, but then there's actually a participant workbook. And you can make notes. This is your own little personal way to figure out what are going to be the difficult areas for you, what are the triggers for you, and how you are going to work through those. And because everybody's different, when people hear what the others are doing, they go, oh, that's a good idea. I should try that too. And on the Quit Week, we give everybody what we call a Quit Kit, which is kind of silly, but also fun for them to have, and in the end, quite necessary. So it's a little bag that has like breadsticks or those little pokey sticks that have like chocolate on them, or lollipops, toothpicks, a stress ball that they can squeeze, all of these kind of things that might be helpful for people to utilize for just those critical craving moments, because if they can just make it through like 3 minutes, 5 minutes when they're really craving it, the craving will pass.
Yes.
But they just need to get themselves through those critical few minutes, right? And so if they can distract themselves with something else, or they have that tactile need to have something in their hand, a lollipop will do the trick. It was funny when we handed those out to people, they were like, oh, lollipops, I'm an adult man. I'm not going to walk around with a lollipop. And and then before they left, they were like, give me a few more of those lollipops just in case I might need them. But all those little things helped. And if you think about it, if you are someone who has smoked a pack a day, that's 20 cigarettes a day. And if you've done that for a year, 5 years, 10 years, imagine how many times you have taught yourself to light that cigarette, bring it up to your lips, and you have automated that. Right?
The motion.
Yes. And so, of course, you have practiced that so many times, it's going to take time for you to practice not doing it too. And so that's one of the things that we emphasize, that, you're practicing quitting, and you may not be perfect, and that's okay. But the point is, when you slip up, you have to figure out what happens so that you can do better for yourself next time. It's not about guilt. It's not about getting a gold star from the facilitators. It's about you doing what's best for you so you feel good about what you're doing.
I'm just cognizant of time right now, so I got a couple of questions. Is there a cost for participants?
It is free. So this class is free, and the HSA class is free as well. If someone wants to call HSA, it's the Public Health Department, and they can ask for Teresa Prehay is her name. If they want to find out more about this, they can send an email to stopsmoking@healthcity.ky. I'll say it again, stopsmoking@healthcity.ky. The class itself is free, and many thanks to the Cricket Cricket Square Club, who provided space for free for us, and the West Bay Church that's going to be providing space for us free. We, as Health City, are providing all of the materials. It is costly to bring all of these books here, and we do try to provide, some snacks, some drinks, and stuff like that.
That should be duty free. I just want to say, any printed educational books, materials coming to the Cayman Islands is duty free. If it's not being duty free given to you, then there's a serious problem going on. I'm just putting that out there.
But it does cost money to get the materials, shipping, and to get all of these things here. And they're quite heavy. The first box we got was 27 pounds. That's a lot to send Federal Express. But anyway.
FedEx, yes.
So Health City is providing the sponsorship or the underwriting for all of this. And then the facilitators do it free. So Michaela's not being paid. She did all of the training of her own free will and is really interested in helping people. And so this is something that is community-led, community-focused, by the community, for the community. So I hope the community comes out and really wants to give this a try.
So I got a couple questions now.
Sure.
You had the first class, which was March 8th at the club in Cricket Square, correct? That was just a class, or was that the beginning of the 7-week program?
We did a full 7-week program. That was our first one.
And how has the response been there? Has anybody said, hey, I messed up, I started smoking, but I quit again? Or has there been a successful kind of stay quit rate?
It was really good. I was really impressed because, the first time we didn't really know what to expect. I was nervous. There'll be, 6 people will say they're coming, and then it's going to be Michaela and I looking at each other for 7 weeks going, is anybody going to come? But as it turned out, I think we had 6 people who said they wanted to come. 4 people came, and 4 sounds like a small number, but that's 4 people who aren't smoking. That's 4 people whose families aren't impacted by cigarettes anymore, and all of the things that go with that. And so those 4 people, coincidentally, it was all men. They were all men from different places.
Not forced by their...
No.
Not forced by anyone.
I didn't see anybody. Nobody was kicking them out of the car and making them tuck and roll into the place. People were coming on their own, and they were just delightfully committed because they came every time, or if something happened, they were like, oh, no, I have this event, so I won't be here next week, but don't think I quit. Or I stopped the class. It's just because I have this other thing, but I'll be back the week after. Okay. And they were all very committed, and they were all men who were really supportive of each other. And so when they would come in and they would go, oh, I don't even really want to tell you guys, but I used to smoke 42 cigarettes a day. I tried really hard, but I'm down to 6 cigarettes a day. And everyone would go, wow, that is an amazing reduction. You're doing great. Now, we just have to figure out how to reduce those last few. And so very encouraging, very supportive. And everyone said, I tried this worked for me. And then people had some extra ideas.
I have a question from somebody on via WhatsApp. So they say, hi, Kathy, does this include vapes?
You can use this class for any tobacco products, including vape, or vape pens, or e-cigarettes, or electronic cigarettes, or chewing tobacco, or cigarettes with filters, without filters that you roll yourself. Anything that has that nicotine and has an addictive quality, yes, you can use it for that.
Okay. So if you find that maybe you're addicted to vapes, or you do smoke via vape, then you are able to enter this Freedom from Smoking program.
Absolutely. We would be happy to have you.
And our next session, I think you said West Bay? July
the 11th.
Okay. We have a couple minutes before our headline news, and I'm not sure if our next guest has come. So hopefully, if our next guest isn't here, I do welcome you ladies to join us a little longer, because I know there's still more stuff to get out. But Michaela, I'm hoping you can tell me what really made you want to volunteer to be a facilitator. Why was this important for you to do?
I got recommended to Jennifer through a mutual friend, based on the fact that I've grown up doing facilitation. That's my professional background. And I've been here on island now for just over 2 years. And it's overwhelming how much you can contribute to the community here. And I guess I was looking to find something that would use what I naturally do, that I could then better serve Cayman. And having met Jennifer, I mean, she's a little, rocket pocket. It's like the enthusiasm she has, the determination she has to want to bring this. I was like, yeah, I'm in. Just half an hour we had a chat in a coffee shop, and I'm like, she's trying to do something really amazing. And we know that we might not get a lot of people. I think a lot of people might feel embarrassed or shame, or that they've been through too many times, they don't want to try again, or they think, they've tried everything, or so many reasons. And yet here we are persisting, because even if it's a small group of 4, for each person that we help, the knock-on impacts for that person, for their families, and for the community here, it's worthwhile. If we can help in that way, then we'll do it.
Excellent. On that note, we got to go to our 1 p.m. news headlines, and we might be back with Health City Cayman Islands, or we might be back with our next guest. You'll have to hang out with us for a few more minutes to find out.
Follow Radio Cayman on Twitter. Radio Cayman on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio Cayman.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Ministry of Education and Department of Education Services announced that a nursery will open at the East End Primary School at the start of the 2023-2024 academic year. Parents may register online at schools.edu.ky/registration-forms. For more information, email the DES registration team at edu.registration@gov.ky. In international news, an area of tropical forest the size of Switzerland was lost last year as tree losses surged, according to new research. It means that a political pledge to end deforestation made at COP26 by world leaders is well off track. Some 11 football pitches of forest were lost every minute in 2022, with Brazil dominating the destruction. But a sharp reduction in forest loss in Indonesia shows that reversing this trend is achievable. An audio recording in which Donald Trump appears to acknowledge keeping a classified document after leaving the White House has been obtained by U.S. media. In the recording, the former president is heard rifling through papers and saying this is highly confidential. It was first obtained by CNN, but the BBC's U.S. partner CBS also has the clip. Mr. Trump has pleaded not guilty to federal charges of mishandling sensitive documents. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
The headline news are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
When you have a sports or fitness-related injury, trust the expertise of the HSA's Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic to get you back in the game. Our internationally trained and certified physicians specialize in sports traumatology, sports medicine, pain management, and orthopedic surgery. For treatment of common injuries such as tendonitis, arthritis, tennis elbow, rotator cuff, or knee tears, schedule a consultation with the Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic at Smith Road Medical Center by calling 949-8600 or visit hsa.ky for more information.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Anton Bancroft Bodden. Anton Bodden came of age at a time when educational opportunities in the Cayman Islands were very limited, and he made the best of what they were. In 1943, he left Cayman to seek his fortune in Colon, Panama. After 4 years, he returned home and started his own business, which included barbering and opening a modern dancing studio. He was elected as vestryman representing Bodden Town. With the advent of constitutional change in the late 1950s, he became a founding member of the National Democratic Party and was elected under their banner in 1960. His political career spanned 12 years. He was married to Vernice Nee Miller, and the two had 5 children.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on Talk Today this afternoon. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And the numbers to call are 1-800-534-8255, 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp us at 925-3261. And if people want to listen and maybe they're in their cars, they want to go online, please remember that if you go to YouTube, just search Radio Cayman. We are streaming live to YouTube. You can watch right now. You can watch earlier shows from this morning, weeks past, so go check us out on YouTube as well. All right, now I'm welcoming to the studio this afternoon Mr. Brent McLean, one of the directors for KMAS. How are you doing, Brent?
I'm good.
I feel like we know you in so many other capacities as well, but right now it's one of the directors for KMAS.
Well, not only the director, but the chairman of KMAS. So
okay.
Director, chairman of KMAS. So, yeah, I wear a million hats, but for this week, I'm wearing the KMAS hat.
Excellent. Well, it's the most fun week that we have, really. So,
yeah, it's true.
I mean, for me, at least I would say.
Yeah, it is true. So, yeah, it's a good time. So,
what year is this for KMAS? Because we've only really just started, right? Is this year 4?
No, it's longer than that. We started in 2017.
Okay.
And yeah, obviously we had some COVID in between there.
Yeah.
But so this would really be considered year 6.
Okay, wow. It doesn't feel like 6 years.
No.
Not at all. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, but it's incredible growth in the 6 years since we started. It's just incredible. Right. Absolutely. We're excited about KMAS. We're excited about everything that's happening with KMAS. It's doing all the things that we wanted it to do when we created it in 2017.
Which was? I want to know what the vision was behind it.
Well, the vision was to grow the Carnival product, and not so much just for the local market, but for the international market. Mm-hmm. We realized that there's a space on the calendar between probably May and November, when you used to have Pirates Week.
Right.
It was a bit dry. So for us, this is more than anything. This is a tourism product, which is done by local people to get as many people on the island as we can. So that's exactly what the vision was. The vision was to show the rest of the world what the Cayman Islands is. If you look at our logo, you'll see what a lot of time people don't look at our logo and they don't see what it says, but it does have a saying on it, Discover.
I'm looking at the logo now.
Look at logo. Look, if you look at the logo, look at it.
Yes.
It has wording on it. A lot of people don't read it, but it has wording on it, and it has a meaning. Come, experience the carnival, discover the island. That's what it says.
Yeah.
Experience the carnival and discover the island. So what we're telling people is that, yes, come to our carnival, but you got to understand that we have absolutely a beautiful island. Not only do we have a beautiful island, I'm safe to say that we have the safest island when it comes to carnival. Absolutely safe.
Absolutely agree.
And when you see the people on the road, you can see that in the way that they behave on the road, that they're free, Mm-hmm. That's what carnival is. Carnival is giving us the opportunity once a year just to be free, come out of the character that you're normally in all year. Because that's what you hear people say. You hear people say, I'm going to play mass. Yes. I'm putting on a mask that is different from who I am. So today when you see me on the road, I'm not the big executive in the office. That's not me. Don't talk to me about that. I'm somebody else, right? I'm not the bartender. I'm not the swim instructor. That's not me today. I am Carnival. I'm having a good time. I'm breaking free. And it's one time a year. So,
can you tell us of any partnerships KMAS has been able to forge over these past, 6 years? In the sense of, working with different groups out of Miami, out of Jamaica, out of Trinidad. I see so many promotions from pages that I've never followed that's about KMAS, and that impresses me.
Yeah, you see, the thing about it is, like we say, that is definitely our goal.
Yeah.
So even a lot of the bands are partnering with other carnival entities throughout the Caribbean. We have, Exodus and the different people are on ground here. We also have entities like Trini Jungle Juice that comes down He has a massive following, huge following.
The biggest, I think.
Yeah,
when it comes to Soca Carnival, it's definitely them.
Absolutely. And you know what? People think that what we're doing here underground is just a little thing. I could show them a stream, a picture that I have, what was streamed last year during Trinity Jungle Juice. When he was streaming live to the world. 3-point-something million people.
Oh, wow.
was watching.
That's huge.
It's down here. There's a 3-point-something million people watching. So yeah, it's a small little thing for us here, but 3-point-something million people were watching us last year.
Online.
Yeah, so we are reaching there, you know. We are reaching there.
So for all the people that want to watch, we know there's a lot of people that want to watch, a lot of the naysayers that have something to say about Carnival in general, but you know they're always there. They always want to see what's going on. So I love those people because they're really secret fans. They really are fans.
It's true. So yeah, check out this year. Check out Trinity Jungle Juice. Trinity Jungle Juice. He's here. He comes in. We bring him in because we understand what his value is with regards to what we're trying to do.
Of course.
And he's on the ground here, and we know him personally. We get along really well with him, and he loves the Cayman Islands, and he's here. And he's streaming it to the world. You can watch it.
Well, I was in it. Now I got to be like, let me go see what I might have said to him. But oh well, it's all good. It's so much fun.
Yeah, this year is going to be incredible. Because,
I think so.
Yeah, this year.
A lot of big names are coming down this year, Brent.
Yeah, a lot of big names. We're excited about it this year. You know, there was always everybody probably know the history that there was a little bit of fraction with people on one side and we on the other side. And what we did, we didn't worry about what everybody else was doing. We stuck to the guns of what we wanted to do and what the vision was for us. What our vision was, to do, and we continue to do that.
And that was a hard thing because I know at one point you were very much involved with Bada Banoo, for example.
Yeah. A lot of us were. A lot of the entities were.
And we all still love both. As somebody who's a masquerader, who participates is. I love both, and I'm going to try to support both how I can, however much I can.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing for me. But we have seen a pretty incredible growth, especially this year with KMAS. So I'm happy to see that growth period. But for you, what do you think has been probably the biggest challenge in bringing KMAS to what it is today?
I probably the biggest challenge is more than anything is letting people understand what the vision was, because regular people just couldn't understand. Well, why did you have to go and get your own carnival? Why did you do this? Why you do that? And we're still dealing with that on a daily basis. And we just tell people that the vision and the direction was totally different. Bada Banoo had a different direction and a vision of what they wanted to do, and we had a different vision. And the only way for us to do that was to do what we did. You know, we continue to promote that vision. We have never said anything negative about what Bada Banoo's doing. I would question anybody to go find something negative that we have said about Bada Banoo. We never did. They have a different platform. They have a different idea what carnival should look like. We have a different idea. And the only thing that we always wanted was for people to just let us do what we wanted to do, you know. And one of the struggles that we had too was the very first carnival, 2017, 2018, 2019. We didn't really have the backing of the people, didn't have the backing of the government. So all of that stuff was end up funded by us as directors, and what little sponsorship we could get here and there, we ran the carnival on a shoestring budget. We still do.
You did, yeah. There was you got some big sponsors that came in this year, which I'm like, oh wow, good for you. I'm just surprised that these sponsors are. I'm happy that they're doing something again in the community that means a lot to the people. So for a lot of your big sponsors, I'm happy to see them.
Yeah, we're glad to
supporting
have
Carnival again.
And you know what the thing about it, we try not to call them sponsors. We try to call them partners. Yeah, and that's the truth. We're trying to have a partnership with different entities, and the growth is absolutely there. All the bands are the bands are just growing out of control. Really,
they are growing. They are growing. It's pretty awesome to see. Especially one of the. Well, you have a band.
Yeah,
right?
I do.
You do. Why'd you say it like that? Yeah, I do. Your band is growing. Your costumes are getting a lot cuter.
Yeah.
Very, very cute. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, sure.
You had some costumes that I had my eye on this year.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
yes, I'd have to say.
We're growing.
Yeah.
We're growing.
And again, that takes a little bit of time and a little bit of an increase in budget in what you can do.
Yeah, nobody has an idea what it does to me. I'm trying.
Well, you haven't aged, I'll tell you that. So maybe you can drop the skincare routine because you still look good, Brent. You're still full of life. You're still involved in so much.
Yeah, I'm still doing that. Still doing the KMAS. And not only that, we have Soca Monarch too.
Yes,
so,
big event.
Yes,
so
Soca Monarch is really
differentiator.
Truthfully, of everything that we have done and everything that we have accomplished from a carnival standpoint, the greatest thing that we have that we love more than anything, we pat ourselves on the back for Soca Monarch, because in 2016, when we start to have the conversation about doing our own carnival, and so I was talking with Craig and I was talking with Veen and we was talking with everybody, and they were asking me to come on board, let's do it. And I says, okay, I'm going to do it on the one condition. On the one condition, me, Brent, has been Soca all of my life, and we have to do Soca Monarch. If you made me do Soca Monarch, I'll be on board.
Nice.
And that was it.
You're a big driving force.
Yeah, it was. And Soca Monarch have really, it's just blossomed, for us to be able to see that now people are becoming real creative and they got to get songs and they're writing songs, and I really think about it now. From 2017 up until now, we, Soca Monarch, have put into the market, into the radio, about 30 songs that probably wouldn't have been written because they didn't have that platform. So
for our listeners who might not know what Soca Monarch is,
so
you explain what that's all about.
Well, Soca Monarch is the art of soca. Soca, for a lot of people that are older, it was calypso. Calypso is the origin, came out of Trinidad and Tobago, and a lot of people listen to calypso. In the 80s, I guess, around the 80s when we had people like Super Blue came out, he was like, okay, calypso is going too slow, and I want to get the tempo up a little faster. So then you start to hear people talking about jump and wave, and instead of the song being at 100 beats per minute, then it was up at 130, 140. So the young people really like that. So soca's a driving force, and soca talks about the fun in the party more than anything. Calypso was a social commentary where they talked about the government and they talked about the ills and all that stuff, and they could tell a story. It was a storytelling thing. But soca is about having a good time and letting go. So every country has what they call the Soca Monarch competition, and that's a competition to see who's the best soca man in that particular land. So that's soca man, soca woman, because we
could be either or, yeah.
Truthfully,
there could be other gender things, but I don't play that. It's just for me, it's man or woman.
Truthfully, when I think about it, we
can add a category.
We have had more women win Soca Monarch in the Cayman Islands than men.
Well,
yes, absolutely.
We have
had one. We have had between 2017 and now we have had one male win Soca Monarch, and all the rest of them were females.
Now the male is going to be disappointed that I don't remember who the male is, but I believe I remember. Is it Erica Sai won?
She won last year.
It was last year.
So the very first year that we had Soca Monarch, Andrea Rivera won 2017, 2017, 2018. Yeah. Vashti won in 2019. Then we had COVID, 2020. 2021, James Guerrero won.
Okay.
2022, Erica Sai won.
Okay.
So now we have 5 people that are weighing for Soca Monarch. In fact, that's where I spent my whole night last night, from 5 o'clock until about 10 o'clock. This year, we have a backing band to back the Soca Monarch up.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
So they've had to learn everybody's song.
Yeah, and it's bad. The band, sorry people, but the band is bad.
How many artists are competing for Soca Monarch?
We got 5 artists competing. We have We have James Gary is back.
Ooh, James Gary, okay.
We have Georgie Duarte.
Okay.
You know him well. We have.
He's been doing a lot lately.
We have Andy Blake. Everybody knows Andy Blake.
Yeah.
We
Andy, okay, it's a different sound for Andy.
Yeah,
Like it.
Then we have Shanna Lee.
Okay.
Which is, that's her stage name, but
Yes.
she's really Shanna Scott.
Yes.
But she's Shanna Lee.
Yes.
And then we have a guy called Kyle Matrix.
Oh,
you know Kyle Matrix.
We know him.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
All of Radio Cayman is 100% behind Mikhail. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
I mean, that's where my money's going.
Yeah,
I'm betting on Mikhail to win. Mikhail, you got some pressure behind you.
Okay.
So that's what we're. He interned here for a little bit as well at one point. So
and
we got a good relationship with him.
Yeah, they had rehearsals last night. It was just incredible, you know. I mean, and for people like me that's been doing soca for so long, I've been trying to get young people to do it and young people to grow in it, and it's real awesome for me. It warms my heart to see that people are now taking on soca. Absolutely.
How are they judged? Is there prejudging at all, or are they judged that night?
They judge that night, but what we generally do, they'll send in their tapes from weeks before, and we'll judge them. We have a panel of people that judge their tapes and then get them down to the last 5. So the last 5 then have to perform, and they have to have live original songs, and they're judged on lyrics, melody, crowd appeal, and stage performance and stuff. So and we'll have judges that will judge them, judges that are in that genre. So it's not like, okay, I got some country judge or something to judge the song. We have judges that are in that genre that in soca. And
what benefit does the winner get?
Well, I wish I could get a benefit.
Well, I mean, why would I do it if there's no benefit besides local praise? I don't really have a local praise. So what benefit would I get as an artist?
Yeah,
you know?
first prize is $4,000.
$4,000.
$4,000 first prize.
Nice.
Second prize is $2,000. Third prize is $1,000.
Okay.
And then on top of that, we end up marketing them overseas and stuff. Like I just came back from Uber Soca Cruise with Georgie Duarte.
I
got
saw
him
a little bit.
Yeah, I got him. I got him onto that cruise, and that's no easy feat to do that, because that's the best of the best on that cruise, and he was there representing Cayman, and so it's great. I have some contacts.
I remember Andrea. I believe she went. You took her to Trinidad, didn't you?
I took her to Uber Soca Cruise. She went to Trinidad. She went to Barbados also too. So
and that was what she got as a winner. That was
that's not her prize, but those are the connections that we made to get her there. She's got the title, and then I make some phone calls and says, listen, I got the Soca Monarch winner with me, and I want to put her on this show, and I want to put her on that, and everybody's like, okay. If she's the monarch, that means she's the best that you have.
Right.
And let's do it.
Exposure for artists.
Absolutely.
Brent, that is one of the, I think, favorite things that I saw come out of KMAS. And I'm very, very happy the exposure the local artists get. I loved it. When Andrea in her first year, you killed it in the sense of where you did take her and helped market her. That was a huge thing.
Absolutely.
Andrea Rivera, if you're listening, or if anybody out there knows her, I want to hear some more music from you, girl. I don't know where you've been the past couple years, but people love you. People miss your music. Cayman Airways plays your song all the time. I'm on the plane singing, and I'm like, man, I'm very proud of you for that fact. So we want to hear more from you.
Yeah.
Now, the Soca Monarch will take place at the Aftermath. It's a swanky Aftermath.
So
big concert Saturday night.
Big concert Saturday night. So as soon as the parade finish, then we go straight into Soca Monarch. We made that move in 2017 and 2018. We didn't have it that way. We had it on the Friday night, and then we sat down as directors and say, the ideal place to do Soca Monarch is at the Aftermath, where everybody's there, so they do get that exposure with the thousands of people.
It was ideal.
And when we made that move, it was like, that's the right move. So
that was a great night.
Yeah, absolutely a great night, and we have them on the beach, because the truth about it, what we do in Cayman, I don't think anybody else does that. We end at the one of the best beaches on the planet, and everybody gets the opportunity to keep their feet in the sand, go to the water edge if they want, even sit in the water if they want. After
Take your feathers off.
After they're on the road, get rid of the feathers and go and stuff. And people love that. Even the people that fly in.
I loved it. It was so refreshing.
Even the people that fly in always say to us, the people that come from international, and people will say, yeah, you guys have something that it's incredible.
It was a perfect sunset, you could say, to
perfect
the
sunset,
day,
exactly.
into the evening. It was beautiful.
Yeah, because it's going down. What we have with the parade is we're very strategic with what we do. If you will be able to go on our site, our Instagram site, our webpage, and you will see that we have a map of what we're doing, and you will see that map have times on it. So at 1 o'clock, we're kicking off. And the one thing about KMAS is at 1 o'clock, the truck moves. We have had people chasing trucks down because they were late. They're learning. They're learning.
Yes, very much. Yeah.
So, and the reason we have to go on time because we have a map that will tell us, like I can tell you right now in my head, we're going to leave Paradise at 1 o'clock, and it'll take us 45 minutes to get to 4th Street. So I know that one is straight in my head. And then from there, we have different junctions from 4th Street to Lawrence Boulevard from there, and we have time. So what we do that for is one or two reasons. It's two reasons. One, for everybody that's in the parade to know. And two, for those people that are not in the parade and want to avoid the parade, they can look on the map and say, it's 2 o'clock. Oh, they should be so-and-so, so I can go there.
I can access the road now.
I can access the road.
Because it's like a rolling road closure.
Right. And that's the next thing, too. We only close off sections. So you can be ahead of the parade or you can be behind the parade. So we just close in sections, and we make sure that... So we try not to disrupt the town so much, which is the same reason why we left the town and went that way, because we know people are in the town. Generally before, they were coming from there and then clogging up the town in the afternoon. So we're like, no, we want to be out of town. Leave the people that don't want to go on parades. They can do what they want to do. We're going that way. We're going to end up on the beach. So
I like that.
Yeah, we had a couple of good visions that have propelled us to where we're at, and we're excited about it.
You should be.
Yeah.
We've only got a couple minutes left now.
Sure.
The time goes fast. Because we don't get a little commercial break in the segment here, but we know we got a lot going on. You did mention the website, which is kmass.ky.
Right, yes.
And you can go on there and get a full calendar of events. Now, everything really starts kind of tomorrow, really.
Yeah, tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a whole lineup.
There's a whole lineup. There's one or two items that is on the calendar that logistically didn't happen, but what's happening right now is Soak on the Beach tomorrow night. Then we have Sundowner on Thursday. Plus we also have I think I know.
Okay, I'm handing them the event sheet.
Yeah, and we have Sundowner on Thursday, but we also have the tribal Juve boat cruise on Thursday. Friday we have Duckworth in the day, Duckworth. So that means you can not do if you don't want to go to work. There's an event during the day. That's what really
Duckwork,
that's what it is. I'm ducking work. That's really what it is. So you have Duckworth, and then you have the Hard Fete, which is at the Festival Green. Hard Fete going to have concert, and that's Bunji Garlin, Nyla Blackman, and Skinny Fabulous. Chicken Run has a breakfast on Saturday morning. Then we're hitting the road. We're out on the road. We go into Aftermath on the beach, and at Aftermath is Destra Garcia with her whole band.
Nice.
Micah Mercer out of Barbados. Alfred Alves out of Trinidad. These are big artists, and they're on live bands. So that is happening all on Saturday.
I want to stop you there.
Yeah, okay.
Because it has, come to light in the past couple of weeks now that there is a second after party or an aftermass. And for me, as a masquerader, gone to play mass, I'm very irritated at the fact that there's a second party. Because it brings me back to the division that was happening, when KMAS started with the carnival and was, separating from Badabanu. So we all know, as you said, that was a big challenge. That's hard to deal with.
It was, yes.
And now it's like we're seeing this happen. in KMAS. Can you tell us what's going on? What happened? Why do I have to pay to go to the swanky after party? I didn't go last year because I was so annoyed. $500 for a costume and then I had to pay.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is ridiculous.
Well,
personally I'm asking, but also there's a lot of people that don't understand why there's two aftermasses. It's weird.
Well, at the end of the day, I guess there's not we understand, all of us as directors, we understand the major attraction to KMAS. KMAS has grown, and everybody wants a piece of KMAS.
Mm-hmm.
Every single soul, as we used to say when we were young, every dog and his puppy want a piece of KMAS, and that is happening. Are we happy that there's another event going on at that time? We're probably not, but there's nothing that we can do to control that,
Were they the next event that is going on, the band that is putting that on, were they excluded from being included in the Aftermath party, the original Aftermath?
Well, they wasn't. I can't say that they were excluded. What I want to explain to people is that one of the reasons why KMAS is growing the way that it is growing is that our model is different from the Barabanu model. The Barabanu model is is this way. They do everything. They do all the concerts. They do all of the everything. That's what they do. KMAS model is totally different. What we do is we control the road. We do Soca Monarch, and we allow different entities, different bands, different promoters to do events. They will come to us and say, listen, I have an event that I want to do. Would you endorse it? Would you put it on your calendar? And we look at it and say, okay, it's not competing with anything else. It looks interesting. Fine, we'll endorse it. So therefore, that's why KMAS is growing so much, because people now realize that, oh, I have an opportunity to do an event. So I have an opportunity to grow. And generally what will happen is that a lot of the bands that are mass bands that are in with us are the people that are putting on the events. Like I got
Understood.
Like I got Calabra, and
Yes.
we got a Juve event that is going to happen on Sunday night. That starts at Sunday night. I'm doing Juve, right?
Mhm.
So Swanky is doing Aftermath. They have teamed up with Dream to do Aftermath. So every band that is within us have asked us to do certain things, and we have given them permission. Renegade Mass is doing the Friday night. Wristband is doing the Sundowner
But Renegade Mass is also doing the other after party on Saturday night.
Right.
So I guess that's just where I'm getting to. As Carnival, we come together on that day and we should end together on that day.
And we should. So
that's what I'm confused about.
So we should. So therefore, we believe that KMAS have been equal and fair with all the bands and allowed every band to have a piece of the pie. And you also don't want to get to a point where you have one entity that has the whole pie, because then you're defeating the purpose, the vision that we had. The vision we always had was to allow people to grow and the different entities to grow. So, I speak here and I speak in as nice as I can to say,
I know.
to say that we have shared the pie nicely for everybody. Mm-hmm. So if you want to really think about it and we want to go down to brass tacks, yes, on the Friday, Renegade does have Duckwork and Renegade does have Hard Fat.
Right.
So they already have two events. So therefore, all the other people have the events.
Mm-hmm.
And in our mind, that is divvied up equally. So there's nobody else that should be trying to compete with somebody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the sticking point where people saying, we shouldn't pay when we get to the end of the...
That's me.
Right.
Because it's traditionally, it's
Right.
always been a part as a masquerader.
Right. But what all the bands know, that it's $10 to get in. That's really what it is for a masquerader to get in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I do with Calabra, my band, is that before I put in my prices of what my costume is, I factor in $10 into it so that If I was going to charge $325, I'm going to charge $335 now. Right?
That makes sense, and this is what should have been done.
But these options were there for everybody to do that
From the beginning, from inception.
Well,
I've read your terms and conditions, so I understand where, what you have to be obligated as a band. So to sign up, I'm assuming that the band would have had to know that, hey, if you want your masqueraders to go to the original aftermath, it's going to cost, let's say, per head, it might be $5-10 extra. Build that into your price.
But once again, those events are not done by KMAS.
Right.
Those events are done by individual groups. Now, those individual groups, I know, have gone out and says, listen, I will give you at this price. Because the truth about it, and, maybe I'm saying things that the general public don't know. If you, as the general public, wants to go to Aftermath, you're going to pay $35 to do it.
Yeah, you should.
but as a regular, you're only paying $10. So all of the bands have that opportunity to build it into their pricing. So for the regulars,
that's a very revealing thing. Thank you for sharing that, Brent.
Yeah,
that's a very revealing piece of information that I think is key in everything that we said in this last question.
So the reality of it is that this thing is still evolving.
Yeah, it is.
And we're gonna get there. I promise you.
You're getting there.
I promise you. Yeah. You'll never have a carnival without some hurdles to jump over.
Mm-hmm.
But I can safely say that whatever hurdles have been put in front of KMAS, we have jumped over them. In 2021, think about this now. In 2021, the only place on this planet that had a full-fledged carnival was the Cayman Islands.
Sure.
And that was not an easy feat, people. We jumped through some hoops and we jumped over some hurdles. The government placed in all kind of regulations and we had to abide by those, and we did what the government asked us to do. Everybody lined up and everybody got vaccinated and everybody lined up out by the government to get a balm on the arm. We did what we were supposed to do. Hurdles were jumped over by KMAS for us to have a carnival. So don't fool yourself. Whatever hurdles that come, we're gonna jump in. We're gonna do it because we're here. We're here for the long haul.
Well, I'm proud of you guys.
We're going no
what
place.
you've brought, how you've built KMAS so far.
Yeah.
I hope to see it continue to get greater. I'm very much looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah.
I can't wait. And my plan has always been to attend your aftermath, so that is my plan.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the original. That's the one where we all need to be
togetherness.
That's all I care about.
Togetherness. Let's all be there.
I want to support the singers, absolutely. And again, if you want to be watching, you can watch probably through Trinity Jungle Juice online.
If you're not coming on the road,
come on the road.
Yeah, come on the road and watch the carnivals.
We love the people on the road.
Yeah.
And go to kmass.ky to check out the event calendar. There's so much going on. Big concerts this weekend on a Friday night and on Saturday. Saturday night's the biggest one, so that's the one that we're focused on.
And Sunday night we're going in East End, people. We're going all the way to the Colliers.
All right.
Yeah, we haven't Juve and Colliers, and people go like, "Why are you going all the way to do Juve in East End?" People don't know. I'm an East Ender. I live in East End, and when I want to de-stress, I can get up early in the morning. 5:45 in the morning, and you watch the sunrise in East End. Remember, we're in the east. The sunrise is in the east, and the beach that we're going to have Juve on is exactly where the sun rises. You go to Colliers Beach, and it's going to rise there. So the whole thing for Juve is let's watch the sunrise together.
There we go.
Be there.
Okay, I like it.
Together. That's my tagline.
We came with the sunset together, now the sunrise together.
Yeah.
So look at us. All right, we got to go to a commercial break. I'm really late with a commercial break. I know Paul
sending
me daggers, but not really because he liked this combo. No, you were perfect. We had to have that conversation, and I had to ask that last question.
That's fine.
I
knew it was coming. That's okay.
I know. I warned you guys it was coming.
Yeah. No, but it is there. The people are asking the questions, and we don't shy away, and I don't shy away from the hard questions. That's why we are growing, because we don't shy away from the hard.
And I'm
questions.
not here to create greater division whatsoever. Can we get better clarity, understanding what's going on?
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Brent, for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me. Absolutely.
And remember, KMAS this weekend. All events really start tomorrow. So check out the
KMAS
website.
It's Carnival.
All right, we got to go to commercial break, and then we will be on with the HSA.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old girl this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from July 9th through 15th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.portercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
You know you've dreamed of that Mercedes, the smooth leather, the style, luxury that feels so good. Ooh la la. With the prestigious 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200 up for grabs in this year's Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser. This is your chance to make that dream come true. Tickets are $25 for one, 3 for $65, or 5 for $100. Benzorama fundraiser tickets are available with Lions Club members and various sales outlets. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser supports numerous community initiatives, includes sightseeing, Christmas delivery, restoration, and social services.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. The ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom. The land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Have you been chosen to participate in the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey? Remember, if you have been chosen to participate, we cannot replace you with someone else. The survey is random and limited to 3,300 individuals across all 3 islands. Your participation is essential to the success of this important endeavor and will help shape Cayman's health services for years to come. Learn more by logging on to www.gov.ky/steps.
The 2023 Household Budget Survey is currently being conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office. The data collected from the survey will determine the items and the dollar value of these items that are included in the new Consumer Price Index basket of consumer goods and services for the Cayman Islands. Trained interviewers with identification cards from the ESO will visit 2,400 randomly selected households across all districts. The Household Budget Survey will run for 1 year, ending February 2024. Approximately 200 households will be interviewed each month. The interviews are confidential in accordance with a Statistics Act. No individual data will be published or disclosed. Survey data are exempt from Freedom of Information requests. For further information on any aspect of the Household Budget Survey, please contact the ESO hotline at 516-3329.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old girl this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. You might have caught me talking with our guest just there. Even though I can hear the music and I still get caught sometimes. I want you to give us a call at 1-800-534-8255, 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp us at 925-3261. You can WhatsApp, text, or call. And in this segment of Talk Today, we will be discussing a little bit about World Sickle Cell Day and more with HSA's Dr. Anna Matthews and Nurse Joy Marin. Good afternoon, ladies, and welcome to Talk Today.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing today?
Oh, we're fine, I think.
I hope.
Yeah, I hope too.
Definitely. So tell me, World Sickle Cell Day, the main objective.
Okay, the main objective is really raising public awareness of the disease. Actually, back in December of 2008, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution recognizing Sickle Cell Day as a public health problem and naming June 19th as World Sickle Cell Day. And so that's a...
Okay, so we passed it a little bit, right? But
yes, we are past it.
We are
that
past
day
it.
was actually a public holiday, and with scheduling conflicts, there we are.
What was the King's birthday?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Right. So, despite the day has passed, it's still bringing awareness and for us to talk about this topic today because it is something that affects our community.
And it is every day, actually, you know, so it's okay whenever, you know.
That's very true.
Yes,
That's very, very true. If you could explain, Dr. Matthews, what sickle cell is.
Well, first of all, sickle cell, whether we're talking about the sickle cell trait or the sickle cell disease, it really involves an abnormality of the hemoglobin. Now, I'm going to talk a little about hemoglobinopathies. Big long word.
Yes,
anything
my eyes
that
glazed
has
over.
anything that has opathy on it means a disorder of.
Okay.
Right? All right.
Thank you.
So, hemoglobinopathy, disorder of hemoglobin.
Okay.
I guess all our listeners know what hemoglobin is because I'm sure they have been to the doctor or the healthcare provider who will say, oh, you're anemic, you're not anemic, based on the hemoglobin content of your red cells or the concentration. Okay? Now, hemoglobin is the molecule that takes the oxygen around the body. That is the molecule that picks up oxygen in the lung, takes it to the tissues, offload it, takes up the carbon dioxide, and in the circulation, of course, and take it back to the lung to be exhaled. Now, in order for it to do its work, it has to be in a particular form. Now, hemoglobin is in the red blood cells, okay? We have red cells and we have white cells. And the red cells is almost all filled with just hemoglobin, all right? So, the form of the hemoglobin in the red cell gives the red cell a particular shape. Normal red blood cells are what we call, it looks like a biconcave disc. It's flat with a little indentation in the middle, and it is very flexible, which it has to be in order to get through all those very small blood vessels. Because, you know, the blood vessels goes all over the body, and if you can't get oxygen to any of the tissues, we have what we call tissue anoxia, low oxygen, and of course it goes to tissue damage, and it can go to tissue death, okay? So how far have I reached? I reach the red cells, okay?
Yes.
All right. Now, hemoglobin consists of 4 protein chains, right? And we call them globins. So it is 2 of a type known as alpha globins and 2 known as beta globins, and they form a four molecule configuration, which is called a tetramer, right? And in each of those we have iron to which the oxygen is attached. Now, anything at all along, either in the globin, in the iron, how the iron is carried, or heme as well, which is also another part of the molecule, will cause problems. We'll have a hemoglobinopathy. Sickle cell disease or sickle cell occurs when first of all, the protein molecules, as you know, is coded for in your DNA, right? For your genes. And of course, each gene is supposed to code for a certain amount of certain types of amino acids.
Okay.
And the amino acids link together to form the polypeptide chains, which form these alpha units or beta units. Now, depends on what amino acids are in the chain, the protein will take a particular formation. Now, if you have a substitution of one amino acid for another, one that is not supposed to be there, which can occur if there's a mutation in the gene, what you'll have, it will not fold as it should. So what will happen is this, it will not carry the oxygen as it should either. Because what happens is this, that the hemoglobin molecules, instead of being nice and globular, they line up and form strands. And these strands distort the shape of the red blood cells. Now, I told you that they're supposed to be nice biconcave discs.
Mm-hmm.
When you have this mutation and have this change of amino acid, what happens is that they form strands. And the red blood cell becomes sickle-shaped. Now, on the normal oxygen condition, it doesn't really sickle. But as soon as the oxygen is low, in a condition where the oxygen tension in the blood is low, you get these cells sickling. Now, the problem with them sickling is that they cannot get through the blood vessels. So they get stuck, right? So they are stuck upstream, so the tissues downstream is not getting any oxygen. Mm. So you end up with what we call, as I mentioned, lack of oxygen, and you get pain. Whenever there's lack of oxygen to any tissue, the first thing you get is pain. And as you probably know, one of the hallmarks of sickle cell disease is pain. The thing is this, that you can have the disease or you can have the trait. How you get the disease? If you inherit the gene from a gene that causes this alteration in the
gene mutation.
If you get it from both parents, because if you inherit this abnormal gene from both parents, you're going to end up with the disease.
Okay.
In other words, the disease have all the symptoms and all the clinical manifestations of the disease. If you happen to only inherit one gene and a normal gene from the other parent, you have what is called a trait. Okay? So you don't really get all the, if they have sickle cell trait or whichever. It doesn't have to, okay. You get the sickle cell trait, which is not as, you don't get the disease and all the things that go with the disease. Correct?
Could it possibly turn into the disease?
No. What is happening is that you inherit it from conception.
Right.
Right? So you're born with it. Okay?
Right.
I think, and then of course the different kind of hemoglobins that you'll get depends on which amino acid has been substituted for the one that's supposed to be there. So we end up with hemoglobins like, it is called things like hemoglobin C and hemoglobin D and hemoglobin E. And you have a number of variants of hemoglobin.
Like more than 400.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Lots
of them are rare.
Right. And don't cause any problems. But there are some which cause problems. I think Nurse Mary is ready to jump in.
No.
Talking too much.
No, that's good. You keep going.
No. You're explaining it very well.
Yeah.
You know. So we have the trait, or we have the disorders that we talk about him in what we tend to talk about most.
Oh wait, before we go there, I just want to be clear for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so familiar with sickle cell, so I'm not aware of any friend that I have that has a disease.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're looking at, you describe the traits would come from, you inherit a gene from one of your parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
The disease would be when you inherit the trait
from both
parents. But let's say I had the trait.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible for this to develop into the disease?
No, you don't develop into the disease because it is determined by your genes already, and already is making what we call hemoglobin S and hemoglobin A, which is a normal hemoglobin. So you don't have the disease per se. You might wonder, why are we interested in this then if I have the trait and I'm not really getting ill except in certain conditions? Because you might go and marry somebody else who have a trait, and you end up with a full-blown sickler.
It's a 25% risk with every pregnancy that can happen, you see.
With every pregnancy?
Yes, ma'am.
25% risk.
If both parents
have
are
the
carriers or have the trait.
Right.
Okay. And as you can see, Cayman is becoming very cosmopolitan. And of course, the people are coming here from all over the world. So it's important to know what is in the bag, what we might be able to expect, and what we ought to look for. Okay? Well, okay, good. Should I go on? Or
Did you want to jump in?
Jump in? Well, she does just to wrap up, in other words, you have different types of variants, okay? Some of them do is fine, some of them don't. When you have a particular substitution of one amino acid, as I said, in the sixth position on the chain, you have a valine that has been, you have a glutamic acid and it has been substituted for a valine. What happens is that the charge on the molecule gets different, and of course because of that it folds differently. Like I said, if it doesn't fold properly, it's going to alter the shape of the red cells. If you alter the shape of the red cells and they can't get through the various small vessels, and what happens, you have interact. Now, the disorders of hemoglobin, we consider them under two headings. We call them structural or qualitative, like what I just described to you, where there's a change in the actual globin molecules, right? So it's a different structure, different quality of hemoglobin, or we call it, or the other pillar is what we call quantitative abnormalities. These are the thalassemias. What happens here is that
my eyes went the what?
And all it is that you don't make as much hemoglobin, as much of the globins as you should. Remember I told you that the alpha and beta are more or less in a ratio of 1:1, because the way they bind, it has to be nice and comfortable, a nice armchair, 4 arms around so that it can carry oxygen nicely, right? Now what happens is that if you have more of one than the other, especially in the case of, if you have we have alpha thalassemia and beta thalassemia. Alpha thalassemia being a deficiency in the alpha chains. So you have excessive beta chains. These excessive beta chains sometimes form crystals or precipitate that alter the shape of the red cells. And what happens there, you have hemolysis, breakage of the red cells, or you can have culling by the spleen of the red cells because they look abnormal. And the job of the spleen is to, if any of these red cells don't look as pretty as they should, they grab them and put them away. Either store them or they're going to take for destruction. In other words, if you're a pretty girl and you pass the spleen is okay. If you're not quite right, it calls you. Not very fair, I don't think. Anyway.
Not at all.
So, of course, you end up with things like the clinical manifestations is going to be represented. It's going to be obvious. For instance, you end up with a very large spleen. You end up with small red cells. So you become anemic, right? And, of course, you have the sequelae, the clinical picture that accompanies anemia. You're pale and you're not feeling well in your head, You're pale and you're tired and you're tired and you're pale, as I said. And there are various, a lot of problems then.
Right.
So you're thinking that just because of, and again, it's genetic. Yeah. Of course, I mentioned beta thal.
Yes.
In the beta thalassemia, you have a deficiency of the beta chain. In the alpha thalassemia, you have a deficiency of the alpha chain. So what happens is that you have less hemoglobin, right? Smaller red cells, right? You end up with hemolysis, okay? Breaking of the red cells. You end up with jaundice. You end up with liver problem, okay? Gallbladder disease, and you end up with an anemia, which you have to make sure that when you go to the doctor or whoever, and he said he says you have a particular type of anemia, like a small cell, pale anemia. You have to make sure that you if you know that you have thalassemia, you have to tell them, because they'll be wanting to give you iron because it looks like iron deficiency, and therein lies the problem. You give iron, you get iron overload, and iron overload it damages the liver, it damages the kidneys, it does a lot of damage.
I didn't know that.
Oh yes, right.
Okay.
And I think I
so you can take too much of vitamins and minerals. You can have too much of it in you.
Well, iron. Iron is toxic. It's a certain vitamins that are water soluble. They don't really cause much problems. I mean, this is an aside, because they are water soluble. You'll excrete them in the urine. But when you have the fat soluble vitamins that is not don't readily dissolve in the aqueous phase, what will happen? They'll be stored, especially in the fat tissue and what have you, and you end up with toxicity. Oh. So
I don't need any more of that. I know that much.
we have.
I don't want to go off tangent, so I need to turn it over to.
Well, we're gonna have to go to our 2 p.m. news headlines now. So once we return back from our news headlines, Nurse Joy, you can
yes,
up on
please,
that.
Because I don't want to get into too much of this chemistry. I'm getting deeper and deeper.
No, it's interesting because it is explaining it to me. As I'm trying to stay on top of what you're saying, and it is interesting. It absolutely is. So
well, I think we'll go back to some of the things that we came to talk about. I don't want to get off in that tangent.
No, but that is good to help you.
Yeah, it paints a picture.
Yeah,
absolutely paints a picture.
Yeah, so when we hemoglobinopathies,
some words are a little like whoa, but that's okay.
They're disorder.
Well, that you really taught me, so I'm happy that I very much learned something important today. Thank you. We got to go to our 2 p.m. news headlines, and then we will be back speaking with HSA about sickle cell.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Captain Eldon E. Kirkconnell, OBE, JP, passed peacefully on Thursday, June 8th, at the age of 96. In recognition of his significant and sterling service to the government and people of the Cayman Islands, Captain Kirkconnell will be accorded an official funeral by the Cayman Islands government. A 2-day period of national mourning to pay respects to Captain Kirkconnell will be observed from Thursday, June 29th through Friday, June 30th. All Cayman Islands flags should be flown at half-mast during the period of national mourning. In international news, Florida and Texas are seeing some locally acquired cases of malaria, the first spread of the mosquito-transmitted disease inside the U.S. in 20 years, officials warn in a health alert. Active surveillance for more cases is continuing, the Centers for Disease Control says. The risk of catching malaria in the U.S. remains extremely low. Archaeologists in the ancient Roman city of Pompeii have uncovered a painting which depicts what might be the precursor to the Italian pizza. The flatbread depicted in the 2,000-year-old fresco may be a distant ancestor of the modern dish, Italy's culture ministry said, but it lacks the classic ingredients to technically be considered a pizza. The fresco was found in the hall of a house next to a bakery during recent digs at the site in southern Italy. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
You know you've dreamed of that Mercedes, the smooth leather, the style, luxury that feels so good. Ooh la la. With the prestigious 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200 up for grabs in this year's Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser. This is your chance to make that dream come true. Tickets are $25 for one, 3 for $65, or 5 for $100. Benzorama fundraiser tickets are available with Lions Club members and various sales outlets. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser supports numerous community initiatives, includes sightseeing, Christmas deliveries, restoration, and social services.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, and reminding you to give us a call at 1-800-534-8255, 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp us at 925-3261. I am here discussing sickle cell with HSA's Dr. Anna Matthews and Nurse Joy Marin. Now, in our break, I stopped to ask a question. Well, Dr. Anna was a little bit explaining about the cells that she just explained to our listeners. So we were just chatting on that, and then I said, I need to ask this because I always understood as sickle cell being a disease that, for some reason, only Black people had, and that is how I first heard about it. And it was just, well, you don't have to worry about it, Kathy. It's not going to affect you. And is that a really big misconception?
It is a big misconception because it doesn't have anything to do with what color your skin is. It has to do with where there was malaria, and where there still is malaria. And if someone who has the trait gets malaria, they usually survive. Now, if someone who does not have the trait gets malaria, they have bigger chance of dying, or somebody who does have the full-blown sickle cell disease and they get malaria, there is also a bigger chance of dying. So basically, in regard to where there was malaria, or is still malaria, the survivors are the people who have sickle cell trait. Okay, and that's interesting. Just the way. Yeah, and so you might say to me, okay, so where would that be? Okay, it would be the equatorial part of Africa. So you have a good number of Black people with it. It would be like in the Mediterranean where you have the Italians, the Greeks, Jewish people. There's a higher incidence of sickle. Also Saudi Arabia and the central part of India. So, there's people of every color, race, with the possibility of sickle.
Okay.
And like Dr. Matthew, I know she's good.
No, I was just saying that the trait has actually survived, right? Mm-hmm. So therefore, and you have migration, all right?
Yes.
So when you have migration and you have two people with the trait, you're going to perpetuate the disease, eh? Okay,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
because there's a chance that you
there's that 25% chance with every pregnancy
that you'll get a sickle, right?
Okay. That is with two parents that carry the trait. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Or it could be, so this is how it goes. I might as well get into mode of inheritance, which is called autosomal recessive, yeah? Okay, if both parents are carriers, with every single pregnancy you have a 25% risk of the child having the disease, a 25% chance that the child would be completely free of it, or a 50% chance that the child would have the trait. Now, if only one parent has the trait and the other does not have sickle at all, then with every pregnancy, there's a 50% chance that the child will have the trait, a 50% chance they'll be completely free, but no chance of disease. And that is why it's so important that, that people understand that if I have the trait, then I want to make sure before I get too serious with someone that I find out, do they have the trait as well? And then that's a decision to be made, if both have the trait, do we want to have kids? because of that 25% risk.
Do you know what the birth rate is for children in the Cayman Islands, babies born in Cayman with sickle cell, what that might be, whether it's the trait or the disease?
Well, let me go into some of that right now.
She has been doing the screening from when did you start the newborn screening?
Well, we started doing cord blood hemoglobin electrophoresis in 1997, and then in 2002 we started doing a comprehensive newborn screening where we the babies, they get a little heel prick. The blood is put on specialized blotting paper, dried, sent over to the States, actually. And so from 2002, we've been doing this comprehensive testing for not just sickle, but other things as well.
Okay.
And so anyway.
When you find that, did you find the info?
Okay. Can I tell you first about the disease? I have that right in front of me.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Nurse.
Okay. As of the 31st of December, 2022, I have to say this is known to public health because there are people who come here who go to private doctors and so on, and we may never see them, at HSE, or even if they're at HSE, maybe, public health wouldn't hear about them. But anyway, known to public health, we have 44 persons with sickle cell disease. 17 of them have SS. That means both mommy and daddy had sickle trait, the S trait, okay? 18 have S and C. So one parent had S, one parent C. Okay, we had 2 with S beta O thal and 7 with S beta plus thal. And the 0 thal and plus thal, it depends on how much hemoglobin A, which is a normal adult hemoglobin. So the more of that you have, the milder the disease is going to be. So those with S beta plus thal, the disease tends to be milder than with S beta O. Okay. Now, there are 4 major types of sickle in this area here. It's SS, SC, S beta O plus S beta 0 thal. Okay. But there are other types. There's like CC, which we do have some persons with that. There's like C beta thal disease, but those tend to be milder. They don't need to be under like the constant care that these other more severe persons are under. Just saying.
Okay. I understand.
So now, okay, the percentage of sickle positive births, and this is the disease, and it does include disease and trait, because our numbers are not huge, just just so you know. This
Thankfully.
Exactly. This is between 1997 and 2022. The percentage of sickle positive births has varied from 1.9% to 8.4% each of the years. However, 5.7% of total births had either sickle trait or sickle disease, so 5.7. Now you compare that. General in the Caribbean, they say it is 10% positive for sickle trait, right, Doc? In African America, I think they say 8%. But what you do find, even in the Caribbean, you may have one country that has a little more and one that has a little less. We're about 5.7. We are multinational. As you know, we have, they say, more than 135 nationalities here. And this really is reflected in the percentage of births in the 5.7% instead of a higher number.
Okay.
So that's that part.
It's interesting because you said something like 1 point whatever to about 8%.
Each year. One year we only had 11, and then another year I think we had 66. But most of the time it's somewhere 30-something, 40-something persons born.
Okay, so there wouldn't be any, I guess, contributing factor as to why all of a sudden it would going from 11 to 66. I mean, it's hard to say that it's a contributing factor because it's a gene. It's inherited, right?
Yeah.
So
it is inherited.
People finding more people, more persons. You're probably accessing more persons for testing. Who's not because if persons are born in the private sector, do they get tested?
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's the good thing about the newborn screening here in Cayman. Newborn screening is done at the Georgetown Hospital, of course, at HSA. It's done at Faith Hospital, which is, our BRAC hospital. And it is also done at CTMH Doctors Hospital. Now, those are the 3 places that babies are born. I mean, there may be something where a child doesn't quite make it, they might quite make it to the hospital, but those are the 3 places where we have births at this time.
Right, okay.
So that covers most of them. It is rare that you will hear a parent say, oh, I don't want my child to have the newborn screening. That's very, very rare.
Were newborn screenings... Did that happen, 10, 20 years ago? Because I'm born in 1980. So my question is, did I have a newborn screening? And how did I know if I have sickle cell?
Where were you? Where were you born, first
Canada,
of all?
Canada.
Canada.
No. Probably.
1980? I'm not sure. I think it was more like I don't know, it might be more like the 90s.
You understand why I asked that, because it's...
You're wondering what were you tested for?
Well, yeah, because I don't know. So in that sense, when, it could happen to anybody, it doesn't matter race, nothing like that, right?
Now, we're talking about sickle.
Yes.
And we're talking about some multi-things. But, Doc, you're right. Like the PKU they might have done back then. Yes, in fact, and maybe for the thyroid, PKU, thyroid, and... maybe one other something. I'm not sure. Okay. Doc? Yeah.
Back to the sickle.
Yes. Okay.
I know we don't have a pediatrician, but we have to just mention that when a child is born, you can't tell immediately whether or not they are sickle or not.
Okay.
The reason being that you have different type of hemoglobin, as I mentioned.
Right.
You have one type that is formed or operates in the embryonic stage up to the first 6 weeks. Then you have another type, which is called fetal hemoglobin, that operates until just past birth, right?
And maybe up to a year,
and maybe up to six, maybe 6 months to a year after. Okay. So when a child is born, they don't have the beta. They don't have as much of the
beta thal.
Not the beta thal. I'm talking about they still have the is the gamma globulin there.
That's your son. I'm sorry. But,
anyways,
yeah,
the hemoglobin,
they have a lot of fetal.
The hemoglobin is determined by the protein that's there. Okay, one type of protein is made in the embryonic stage, one type is made in the fetal stage, and then after birth or just before birth, you start to make the adult hemoglobin, right? So when a child is born, they have a lot of the fetal hemoglobin that does not sickle.
Okay.
So they will not have any symptoms of sickle cell.
Right.
In fact, they've used that fact that hemoglobin F, the fetal hemoglobin, does not sickle, in order to make a treatment for sickle cell disease.
Okay.
Right? That is, you must have heard about the hydroxyurea.
No.
She's like, no.
This is one of the medication that is used. It actually was an anti-tumor medication, but what they find it does, it prolongs the formation of hemoglobin F. And hemoglobin F does not sickle. It also has a great affinity for oxygen, right? So the child is carried quite well past the birth. But then when the body stops making hemoglobin F now, and you want the other globin chain, right? All right, the beta globin chain, and when you have the S beta globin chain, which is going to combine with the alpha chain, what happens is that's when you start having the symptoms of sickle cell disease.
Okay, now let's get into the symptoms. We have to go to a commercial break.
Oh,
so if we can get into the symptoms, our last commercial break for the show. Okay, we'll get into the symptoms and a bit more information before we sign off today. But let's go to the commercial break right now, and then we'll be back with HSA.
Sorry.
They say variety is the spice of life, and that's why at Subway we're introducing the new boneless hot sub.
Say what?
The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
Freedom, Kim and Rack.
freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
This is an important public service announcement. In accordance with the Standards in Public Life Act, this year's annual declarations to the Register of Interests must be submitted between the 1st of July and the 30th of July by persons in public life.
This includes members of Parliament, various categories of public officials, members of governing bodies of statutory authorities, government companies, and commissions created under the Constitution. The Register of Interest portal for the electronic filing of declarations will be accepting submissions from the 1st of July.
For more information or to determine if you are required under the Standards in Public Life Act to file a declaration, visit www.standardsinpubliclifecommission.ky/Register of Interest.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. We're on the last little 10-minute stretch here of Talk Today, so thanks for sticking with us and tuning in studio this afternoon. I have Nurse Joy Marin and Dr. Anna Matthews. Both are from HSA, and we are talking about sickle cell. And right before the break, Nurse Joy, I believe you were talking a little bit about symptoms, so if we could pick up on, the symptoms of sickle cell.
Okay, well, with the babies, one thing that can be noticed, it's called dactylitis, or it could be said hand-foot syndrome, where the little fingers or toes it can swell, and for a time, short time, and it may be a bit painful, but that is one thing as the kids are younger. And then there's painful episodes that are often brought on by different things. It can be brought on by stress. It can be brought on by cold, like and swimming can be quite an issue. For some persons with sickle cell disease, it's not too much a problem. Some know they cannot swim, or if they swim, they may end up in A&E that evening.
Swimming, how does...
Because of the coldness.
Okay.
You see, the thing is that you have to keep warm. You have to avoid anything that's going to stress the system or cause it to have less oxygen, or, less oxygen, in low oxygen
No hiking Mount Everest for you.
No,
definitely not.
You have
no
to avoid,
high altitudes.
You have to avoid.
Right.
Altitudes and probably deep.
And not scuba either.
No diving. So your lifestyle has to be...
It has to be modified. Let's put it that way.
Good.
The thing is this, that even with the people that has a trait... Well, we were talking about children. Yeah. I just want to mention that the dactylitis that Nurse Marin is talking about, you got inflammation and, of course, blockage of the small blood vessels. And that leads to inflammation and pain. Mm-hmm. It's a particular look of the fingers. It looks like, they call it spindling. You have the joints that seem a bit fat, and then the fingers taper back down to normal. So you can see that, yes. You see that, it's very painful, all right? So you know that. Another thing is this, that we have seen that children can end up with strokes. In fact, the first time I saw a child with a stroke is here in Cayman.
Oh, wow.
The child was about a year or two.
Wow.
And, you know, you came in and wondered, what is wrong with it? So, yeah, it was. That's back in the bad old days when people didn't know much about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah,
okay.
because, of course, what you have the blood vessels in the brain, and, of course, if they get blocked, you can end up with a stroke, like what most other children get.
Wow.
Now, I think one of the things that there's a particular pattern of pain that the sicklers suffer from, and of course, I think it's the long bones, eh?
It's just before the joints of the
long bones that usually have pain. But one of the most feared symptoms they have is what we call acute chest syndrome, where they present with it's quite an emergency. It looks like a pneumonia, but it really is not. And they can present with a fever and severe chest pains and a myriad of other complaints that they really have to get. They have to be hospitalized and treated because it can be fatal, right? Because of the blockage of blood vessels, you'll find that some sicklers, especially in the old, had leg ulcers. Why? Because, of course, the very small blood vessels that go down to the legs get blocked up. And, of course, there's lack of oxygen, because there's loss of oxygen. As I mentioned before,
right.
You have infarction and that kind of thing. So you can have damage to just about any organ. You can end up with renal problems. You can end up with, problems.
But something that I would like to say is sickle cell is what they call clinically variable, because there might be a patient with SS, and they may not hardly have too many problems at all. There may be someone with SC, which is supposed to be milder, and some of them can have, the severe painful episodes and that kind of thing. So you really have to look at the individual person, right, Doc?
Well, to a certain extent, it depends on the combination of the hemoglobin that they have. Some of them might have more hemoglobin F.
That is true.
Some might have the other hemoglobin that we have that is known as hemoglobin. I didn't get a chance to tell you all the different types of hemoglobin. There's hemoglobin A2, which is also one of the normal, part of it. In the normal adult, right? You can have hemoglobin A, and you have hemoglobin A2, and you might have some fetal hemoglobin. If you're normal and you're not a sickler and don't have the trait, you don't have hemoglobin S, right? You can also have hemoglobin C, right? It's the same process, a substitution of one amino acid for another. All right. Now these people tend to be not too bad. They don't get they usually they might get a bit of hemolysis because of abnormal red cells. But they don't get into the crises as you do get if you are SS disease. Okay. And of course you have patients that have SC disease. That's also sickling as well, right? Because you have the sickle cell and you have two abnormal hemoglobins. Well, back to the children.
Okay. In regard to preventive care for the children, penicillin is given from the child is a few months old till the child reaches about 5 years. Whether they give it by mouth twice a day, or whether, this depends on the parent's choice, right? Or whether they give one penicillin injection, intramuscular injection.
And you might want to know why, because?
Oh, because there's an increased risk of infection.
And because of the spleen, eh?
I don't know. So
what you get infarcts in the spleen, and
you get what in the spleen? Sorry.
Well, what we call infarcts or death of tissue of the spleen,
like tissue death.
Yeah. So sometimes you end up with no spleen, literally, and of course the spleen is one of the systems that protects you from invaders outside the body, bacteria and viruses and what have you not. So what you have to do. You have lost a source of your immunity. So therefore what we have to do is give you the immunity, right? As passive immunity, right?
Okay.
By the vaccines.
Yeah.
And also you are prone to infection, so we are prophylaxis in case you get infected.
Okay. These are preventative measures.
Preventative measures.
All right.
Right.
For children, yes.
Yeah.
Right, and so along with giving the penicillin, like up till they're about 5 years old, there are also, the children must have the usual immunizations which we give to all kids, and actually even now we give just a regular population. Prevnar 13 is given now, whereas years ago we didn't even have Prevnar 13. But along with that, there's the pneumococcal vaccine where they get that in addition to all the others at 2 years of age and then again at 5 years of age. And, they have to be on a balanced diet with a lot of fruits and veggies, no special diet, but you want to encourage the fruits and veggies. We give the folic acid because folic acid helps to make red blood cells. Folic acid is a vitamin B9, I think it is. You can't get too much. If you take too much, you just pass it out in your urine.
Water soluble.
That's one, water soluble, yeah. Okay. Yeah, and and then, it's really important for those children to be fully immunized. Sometimes because they may have a lot of little colds and things, they may fall behind in that, and so that's something that the public health nurses push, and we all do our share in saying, make sure you get the shots, da-da-da. They need things like adequate rest and sleep, which might sound, but that's very important. When you're sleeping, your body helps to restore itself. And then to, avoid stress where I can. Things like teaching the parents and carers to check for the spleen every day. The spleen is, like Doc says, an organ under the left rib cage. When it enlarges, you would think it would just go down, but instead it goes across like that. And so the doctor and, we will teach the parent how to feel for that spleen, and we teach them check that spleen every day, like when you bathe the baby, or if the baby seems a little bit sick and something doesn't seem right, check that spleen. And this is from from the baby's a few months till, really, we keep on till 6 years, or it just depends, in that range. And in just to make sure, if that spleen is enlarged, they know they get to the A&E immediately, because a child may need a blood transfusion. It can be quite an emergency. Okay. So you do not play with that spleen being enlarged. Okay.
Because what the spleen is doing there is grabbing the red blood cells. So you end up with less in the circulation. So you're actually becoming extremely anemic. So sometimes they have to get rid of the spleen because it keeps on culling all the red cells.
And there's no replacement for that in that sense.
No.
Okay.
I mean, the spleen can be, you can have your spleen removed, and you can, live okay without it. You would make sure you get the certain shots because there would be the increased risk for infections.
It's that, which is a big deal.
But in fact, they often say that the adult, like sickle SS patients, they have what they call autosplenectomy. They just
get rid of the spleen, just get rid of itself.
That's interesting. Okay, what the body does. Okay,
I know. You might wonder. I know Nurse Joyce mentioned about the newborn screening and what have you, but there's also important of genetic counseling, right? And testing whether or not you have the trait. Because the thing is, say for thalassemia, and the people from the Mediterranean, as you said, you're from.
Yes, that's my family, yes.
You might have alpha thalassemia. Okay, there are 4 genes that code for the alpha globulin in the hemoglobin for the people, in everybody, okay? Now, you might have a deletion of, you get 2 genes from 2 alleles, or 2 genes from the mother, 2 from the father. Now, you can lose one gene and you're fine. I mean, you get a little anemia, you probably don't even know. Your trait is easy. You might lose 2 genes, but you can lose 2 from, in other words, you could have gotten a father who has 2 deleted alpha genes, but your mom 2 normal alpha genes tied you through, so you only have mild anemia, and you're called alpha plus.
No, they're just alpha thal. Thal trait.
Okay, but alpha thal trait.
Yeah.
You might lose 3 genes. You still have you still have the trait.
No.
Right? But you're still anemic. You're quite anemic at that.
That's the hemoglobin H
but
disease.
You could also have 2 alpha genes from, say, your mom and none from your father, right? So you have that carrying. You might meet a partner who have the same genetic makeup, and you get a child, you make a child that has no alpha genes at all. Now that child is usually stillborn. It is called hydrops fetalis.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The good thing about that, no, if there's any good thing about that, is that in this modern day of technology, you can actually have transfusion while the baby is in utero. And then when the baby is born, in other words, it will be born alive, and then you can do a gene transplant, and the baby will live happily ever after as a normal human. So
I wanna slightly interrupt you there because you said gene transplant.
No, you
right?
meant stem cells.
Sorry,
stem cells.
That's what she meant.
But there is the possibility you have to have a whole lot of money to do this for genetic coding.
It is nice to think about.
Genetic coding is possible.
Yeah.
So, and I know for some people it might be like, did she just say genetic coding? Like you can actually decide certain traits in your genes. So for your kids, you can say, okay, I want them to be tall, intelligent, athletic. You know, there's these desires people have, right? But and that might seem very superficial in a sense. But if you could have the ability when it comes to genetic coding that could take away the possibility for disease, I think that's a brilliant thing.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, that's far into the future, and of course,
it's here, but still far into the future. Yeah.
But the rich will live and the poor will die.
Isn't that what they be doing to us?
No, but anyways, with the alpha thal, with the hydrops fetalis, that baby is going to be stillborn.
Okay.
And you can test for that in utero by looking at the hemoglobin and do the hemoglobin electrophoresis, etc. In order to get cord blood or wherever, and you look at what is happening. This is before the baby is born.
You would get the alpha thal. It would be checking for the alpha thal.
The alpha thal, the alpha zero thal. Okay, there's no alpha chains there. They call it alpha zero.
Okay.
Right? But there's another hemoglobin chain, but that doesn't survive. That doesn't persist after birth.
Okay.
You just don't have any alpha. So you have what they call tetramers of the beta, what is left. But that is not compatible with life. But you can get a transfusion, and of course you're getting transfusion, you're getting real blood that is taking the child, through birth.
Right.
And then, as you said, we can do the stem cell.
Right, that's absolutely incredible. So possibly you're going to have a stillborn child, or you likely will, but we can prevent that with that blood transfusion, the stem cells.
But that's not. I mean, it's probably more into the.
Oh, it's happening.
It's happening, but yeah.
But it's first of all, we're on the edge of it.
But both parents would need to know their alpha thal status.
Yeah, what we are saying, get yourself tested and get genetic counseling.
Yeah.
Do you want to risk? Of course, I don't know what's going to happen with all this termination.
What can you explain what you mean by genetic counseling?
In other words, you're going to get married, you get counseling, you get genetic counseling. Tell you what is your genetic makeup, what's the possibility.
Okay.
Okay, and do you want to have children, or do you don't want to have them not? Right? And in this day and age, when Big Brother up north sneezes, everybody catches a cold.
Yes.
So with all this abortion thing that is that's going on these days, and whatever, I don't want to get into that realm. I mean, you have a stillborn there, and you have to bring it to fruition. I mean, or you can do something about it. You can get the transfusion in. And hope for the best when it comes out.
It's so many interesting medical possibilities. We have to wrap up. But I do have a final question to ask you ladies. How is it best that we can help support somebody who has sickle cell disease? How can we best support them in their lifestyle and just managing the disease?
You want to? Well, you want to go first?
Yeah, go.
No, I'm just going to say that support is supposed to come from everybody, meaning starting from the health system all the way down to your family and neighbor. because sicklers tend to present with a lot of pain. They live in a constant state of pain. In other words, not severe pain, but they have a background of pain. Because,
like a chronic pain.
Chronic pain.
But talking about as they're older.
Yes. But superimposed on that is the acute crises. And lots of times you find that healthcare personnel are it's not as sympathetic as they should, because they see them coming back and complaining of pain, and they think they are drug seeking.
Right.
That has happened a lot. Right? And it also involves a lot of emotional upstir. You're depressed, you're upset. And because people don't understand that you're having pain, what have you. So that's one support. Two, we can make sure that there's education out there for them to know what they ought to get, like re-immunization, etc. Mm-hmm. Right? And just public education, and so they know what they are entitled to.
There's a meeting tonight. A sickle cell meeting, right? I wrote it down. I said we got to get that out. So when you said that, the public education, I don't know if that's for everybody or just...
No, it is for everybody. Okay. Yeah, it's a sickle cell support group meeting this evening at 5:30 at the Women's Health Waiting Room at the HSA. And Dr. Anna Matthews will lead the discussion and will be there. There'll be light refreshments. So, there will, all are invited.
Okay,
yeah.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. Did you want to... I wasn't sure if you were finishing how do we support.
Yeah. Talk about the...
Did you want to add anything on how we can support people who are living with sickle cell disease?
Well, I think if they share that with you, you may see people you might not even know they have sickle. So it depends on each situation, and to be sensitive to them, and to really, you can ask, how can I help you too? Yes, all the things that Doc said. We have, we do the counseling. The doctors do the counseling. I do counseling. The public health nurses are great. They make sure they get their shots. They do a great job here in Cayman of the immunization.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So all of those things. But really, ask, if you know about it, ask the patient, how can I help you? Sometimes it's just to be there and not to talk. If they're in acute pain, sometimes they just need someone to sit or different things like
we didn't get into the hydroxyurea and the treatment and all that, but another time, I suppose.
We didn't know. We didn't.
It's a lot.
It really is a lot. It's good
Trust
information, though. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us on Talk today and giving this information. A reminder again: there is a sickle cell meeting today, 5:30 p.m. at HSA at the Women's
Health Waiting Room. Women's Health Waiting Room.
Women's Health Waiting Room.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Okay. And thanks you.
Thanks for
really
having us.
No problem. Until tomorrow, you'll have me back on Talk today. Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama.